Hey guys, welcome to my first tip in a whole bunch we're going to do in a row. Today I'm going to answer a question that gets asked to me all the time. What is a lake turnover and how is that going to affect my fishing? Well, first of all, a lake turnover is going to highly affect your fishing. When a lake turns over, there's a lot of oxygen in one tiny spot. The whole lake turns over and mixes so that there's very little oxygen throughout the lake, which makes the fish lethargic. And it sets up the lake for when the larvae and stuff start to hatch when the sun gets warmer. But let's talk about this for a second. Here's my fancy board here. There's three main sections on a lake. First section, epimelion, the metamelion, and the hepimelion. So I call it the top, middle, and bottom because those names are ridiculous to remember. The middle layer is where you'll find the thermocline. I'm going to try and keep this uncomplicated. One of the unique properties about water is it's its most densest at around 4 degrees Celsius or 39 degrees Fahrenheit. It's unusual to any other liquid or gas where it's most dense when it's a solid. It's this unique property that helps actually keep fish alive when the lake freezes. So we'll start in the summer. Stratification is what they call when the lake has 3 separate layers and they're stationary. You're going to have the warmest layer on top, obviously heated by the sun. The layer in the middle, which is the metalemnion, and this is the epilemnion, will have your thermocline. This is where the two temperatures actually start to blend, but there will be a definite major change in temperature. And then you'll have your hypolemnium, which is the coldest and most dense water at this time. So in the winter, you're going to have an inverse stratification, where you're going to have definite layers that are not moving around, but they're inverse. So it's an inverse stratification, where on the top, where it's ice and frozen and cold, and the bottom is going to be warmer, where there's decomposing and things rotting, which is actually creating a little bit of heat, which is actually really what keeps the fish alive. This temperature change. It's a natural way for our lakes to keep the fish alive. Now, as the ice starts to melt in the spring and the wind starts coming in, the water will start to approach the 2-degree mark, and as we spoke before, the 4 degrees is when it's the most densest. The wind will start to come in and you'll see how quickly ice will go off a lake. When the ice goes off, the water will rapidly become 4 degrees, and when it reaches 4 degrees and it's its most dense, it's going to start to drop again, and the warm water and all the decomposing material at the beginning is going to start to come up, and the whole lake is going to turn over. And the wave action, I mean, there's going to be some change to, like if there's a river coming in here, that's going to change some of its, how quickly it'll come in and how much wind you have and how rapid the temperature changes. These are all variables that obviously make a difference. However, at the end of the day, when the ice or the ice melts and the water becomes 4 degrees, it will drop because it's heavier, causing it to mix. This lake will completely mix, and then the oxygen levels will be all mixed again, and the mud and gunk from the bottom, and that foul smell that you quite often smell, until the lake actually starts to warm up, and then it'll start to have a warm layer again, and then you'll have the thermocline again, and then you get into the hypomelion again. And so at this time, the highest levels of concentration of oxygen will be in the top. This is because of things like wind adding air to the water, the aquatic plant life, microbes, different things that actually create the oxygen. And as you go into the metalemnium, or where the thermocline will be found, there becomes a little bit less oxygen as you go down. And when you get to the hypolemnium, or the coldest area in the lake, you're going to have the least or sometimes no oxygen, and this is because of the density of the water, and because that's where all the particles of plants and decomposing matter will rot and take the oxygen out of the lake. So you're probably going to find most of your fish in the center layer, the metalemnium, or where the thermocline is and above, because of the oxygen levels. Very rare will you find a fish in the area where there's little to no oxygen. Now, as the lake approaches fall, what's going to happen is the temperature starts to drop, the winds start to blow, you get a pretty typical fall wind, the lake becomes closer to 4 degrees. And as you recall, I said 4 degrees is when the water becomes most dense. So as the water becomes dense and becomes closer to 4 degrees, it actually starts to mix with the other water, and the other water starts to come up. You're going to find an odor sometimes. You'll see particles floating around. Sometimes the water will even become chocolatey and very hard to see into. And this is because the top water has dropped and it started mixing with the bottom water. And once it starts to mix like that, then the oxygen level has become even throughout the lake. It also makes it very hard for fish to see. They usually become docile for 2 to 3 days because of the low oxygen that they're trying to recover from. And so I typically don't fish once the turnover has happened, unless it turns over quickly and then you have a nice clearing until the ice is on. And then that's it. So why is this important? Well, first of all, the first thing you should be doing when the lake turns over is either grab yourself a nice Barkerville brew, or sharpen your hooks, fix your tackle, fix your boat, or maybe do some river casting, because the opportunity of fishing drops from about 90% to about 4%. Sure, you can catch fish, but I'm not interested in sitting there for the entire day for a maybe. I'll find another way to go. So you could just go home and fix your boat. Do whatever you need to do. Study up on the regs, because we all know that nobody knows how to read those regs. So maybe just read them 4 or 5 times. Well, that's basically it. But let's summarize. When the water reaches 4 degrees, it becomes too heavy, it drops. The lakes mix. It's bad time for fishing. That's pretty much it in a nutshell without all the confusion. 4 degrees, bad, mix, no fish. So anyway, I hope you guys like this. It's the first of a whole bunch of tips we're going to be doing. If you have any questions or comments, please do them below. If you want to like us on Facebook, check this out. There's lots of stuff there to see. But please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it. We're going to have lots of contests. Keep yourself posted. Thanks for having us.